Getting your creative right is a vital part of any paid social campaign, and we wanted our reporting to reflect that. If you're like us and you use Looker Studio to do your reporting, you'll probably notice that your ads either don't have previews or have previews that are just really not what you want. This is how ours look. We have a full preview of the ad, including number of likes, comments, and so on, the ad copy, etc. Unfortunately, getting these is not exactly straightforward. I've built an automation that allows us to pull these ad previews through to our reporting, and I'm going to show you how that works now. So this is the result that we're looking for here. We've got a list of ads here on the left, and I can click any of those and get a preview here on the right. I'm just going to focus on the preview thumbnails for the purposes of this video. Perhaps later on I'll do another one on how this report works more generally. So the first thing to know is the data that sits behind this report comes from Spin's data warehouse, and all of that data relies on the APIs that the marketing platforms provide. In this case, the Meta Graph API is the underlying source of this data. But the Graph API doesn't provide a thumbnail like this one that actually shows you what the completed ad unit looks like. It provides, I can show you actually, this is the Graph API Explorer. This is one of Spin's own ads, and this is what you're going to get back from the API. This teeny tiny, I'll just zoom in there. And that's really not good enough as far as creative reporting goes. We want to see what the ad looks like in the wild, and we want to be able to share that into our Google Slides presentations or share thumbnails across the organization. So this won't do it. We're going to need something else. And there is nothing else in the API that is suitable. So we're going to need to roll our own solution. And that's where automations come into play. So I'm using a platform here called n8n. So the idea is that we're going to supplement the data that Funnel doesn't have access to. So Funnel is what we use to pull all the data in from all of the marketing APIs. And there are certain things like this that it just doesn't have access to, or that might only be relevant to Spin or to our clients. And that's where I'll build an automation like this that can fill those gaps. So I'll just walk you through how this works. So the first thing it's going to do is get a list of the ad account IDs that I care about. I don't want to get every single ad account that we have access to. There are only some that we are using the thumbnails for. So I'm going to craft a list myself of those. And that's in this spreadsheet here, screenshot library. So we've got a list of clients and their ad account. So that comes into this automation here. That gets fed then into this Graph API node. So this is basically going to say, get me every ad account and how much it's spent. And then it's going to say, for each of those ad accounts, get me every ad. And we're here saying the spend has to be greater than 1. So we only want ads that have spent. And actually, importantly, that is the last 30 days. We drop that into a list. We filter that list to say, we're only interested in the campaigns that Spin is running. And then we save those ads. Okay, so we're just using the spreadsheet node here, and we're saying save the ad name. After that, we say get me every row that does not have a screenshot. I've got a limit in here as well. And then here's where we go get preview links. Important thing to note here is that getting a preview link, which is the same thing in Ads Manager if you do inside an ad, you go share and go Facebook posts with comments and get to a page like this, that preview link expires. So we can't have access to that indefinitely. There's no point in storing it because it expires. What we can do is request that preview link, take a screenshot of it and save it back to the spreadsheet, which is exactly what we're doing in this automation. So we get the preview link and then we do render preview images. I'm using a service here called HTML CSS to image. I basically just pass in the HTML that comes back into that service, and it gives me a URL of a screenshot, which then I go and save back to this screenshot library. And the result is a spreadsheet like this. So we have ad name, ad ID, and preview URL. This then gets pulled back into Funnel and into our data warehouse, where it then ends up in our reports like this. Crazy as it sounds, that's what's required to get previews in your reports. We've built an automation that will pull in all of our ad accounts, ad data, and from those figure which ones it needs previews of, go and generate them via an API, save it to a spreadsheet, bring it back around into our data warehouse so it can appear in our reports. There you go.